This video is sponsored by Surfshark. When Gina Carano was fired in a very public manner and gaslit by the powers that be at Lucasfilm's Kennedy faction, they expected some limited pushback from her fans over this, but that everyone would move on by the next news cycle, and that the only lasting effect would be that a blow had been dealt to the rival Favreau faction. This, however, is not how things played out. In this video, we will explore how the backlash not only never ended, but how the tide turned in Carano's favor, as well as the rumors that she may indeed be back again. All of this, of course, can be traced back to the anger from the audience. #CancelDisney+ has been trending for a while now, and we've heard unconfirmed reports that thousands or even tens of thousands of Disney Plus subscriptions indeed have been canceled, with many vowing to take to the high seas to get the content they want, such as the recently teased upcoming Marvel films and shows. Please note that this is something neither Midnight's Edge, our sponsors, nor any other affiliates condones. Not only is piracy wrong, you are exposing yourself to endless spyware, tracking software, and other malware out there on the high seas. And that's on top of all the data that is stolen from you during all your regular browsing. Well, modern problems require modern solutions, and many of them can be found in a VPN, such as the one delivered by this channel's sponsor, Surfshark. A VPN, or virtual private network, is a privacy protection tool which guarantees instant online safety and encrypts all data sent via the internet. On top of that, Surfshark allows you to bypass geo-blocking restrictions by changing the country you access the internet from, which also gives you access to 15 different Netflix libraries simply by changing your virtual location. Not only that, outside of the US, Star, the international version of Hulu, comes bundled with Disney+. If you're in the US and change your location to, say, the UK, well then, you might just get that too. One of the advantages with Surfshark over many other VPN providers is that it allows one account to be used on unlimited devices. That's part of the reason why Surfshark is the VPN of our choice, and it gets even better. If you type in the code MIDNIGHT when ordering, that triggers an exclusive offer in which you now get 83% off the normal list price, plus 3 extra months for free. Surfshark also offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk in trying it out. Do check out the link in the description below for further details and to order. With that, let's dive into how Disney and Lucasfilm might have been forced to crawl back to Gina Carano. The firing of Gina Carano may be the single most ill-advised firing in Disney's corporate history. It even tops the firing of James Gunn, another instance where Disney had to publicly undo their own earlier decision. That happened not just because of public outcry, but more importantly, because Kevin Feige was fighting behind the scenes and campaigning to get Gunn back. Keep in mind, Feige had hired James Gunn to oversee the cosmic side of the MCU, in the same way that Feige himself had overseen the regular MCU, and Gunn's firing subverted those plans in a major way. James Gunn eventually came back, but not before committing to make the Suicide Squad for DC and Warner Bros. As such, the MCU was set back by years, and for all we know, it may never recover from the accumulated effects Gunn's multi-year absence had. The firing of Gina Carano was much like that. She was handpicked by Jon Favreau, who wrote the role Cara Dune specifically for her, and he did so because Gina's charm and likability was one of the key pillars upon which the entire Mandalorian pocket universe of Star Wars was to be built. Remove that pillar, and the entire structure may collapse. Something the powers that be of the Kennedy faction were counting on, as they reportedly wanted to see the Favreau faction and all of their projects fail, even if that is the equivalent of the Magic Castle being set ablaze. Please note that much of what we are about to reveal is information that comes from our sources with ties to Disney, and what is being revealed is information that has not, and in all likelihood, will not be made public. It therefore cannot be independently verified at this time, meaning if it is not sourced to elsewhere, you will have to take it all with a grain of salt and treat it as rumor. Marvel Studios has nothing to do with Lucasfilm, apart from numerous Marvel alumni being involved with the Star Wars rescue operation, that is, after Kathleen Kennedy ran it into the ground on the big screen. When her Lucasfilm faction fired Gina Carano, however, Marvel were caught in the crossfire of fan ire. Marvel's WandaVision was on at the time, and as our good friend Doomcock first broke, and that our own sources agreed with it, irate fans took their anger out on WandaVision. According to our sources, the point where WandaVision viewership nosedived and never recovered perfectly lines up with where Gina Carano was fired. While there may be several reasons for it, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier reportedly also never came close to the kind of viewership they expected in earlier internal projections. We have earlier reported that according to our sources, multiple third-party licensees also walked out on Disney when Gina Carano was fired, as Cara Dune toys were one of the few reliable sellers in Star Wars' current lineup. Most recently, we have also heard murmurs that due to decreasing interest in Disney Plus and skyrocketing interest in HBO Max, due to their slate of movies like the Snyder Cut, Godzilla vs. Kong, and Mortal Kombat, HBO Max may have already overtaken Disney Plus in number of subscribers. If this is true, that's the last thing a corporation propped up by Disney Plus growth wants out there. There can be, of course, many reasons for a decline in interest, not just the firing of Gina Carano, but if there was a downwards trend anyway, that may have been escalated by her firing. Even Forbes called out Bob Chapek directly over it in an unprecedented article with the title, "Disney's firing of Gina Carano is confusing and hypocritical, lacking sound management." Our sources have indicated to us that the shockwaves from that are still making waves behind the scenes, as this is the kind of thing the board of directors can lose faith in a CEO over. From what we've been told from our sources on the ground in Hollywood, that this is a major turning of the tide. At the time Gina was fired, many saw her as an alt-writer with deeply problematic attitudes and point of views. But this perception did not stick. We have been told there are too many who know her, and many who like her due to the winning personality, that led to Cara Dune being created for her in the first place. To put it simply, there were too many people in general, and too many influential people in particular, who rejected that narrative that it could ever stick. On top of that, her later professional association with Ben Shapiro made the social media posts she was fired for public knowledge, and few thought the widely held opinions she expressed were either offensive or grounds for cancellation. One of the many sympathetic towards Carano was Bear Grylls. Disney did pull an episode of his series featuring Gina Carano, but they reinstated it, reportedly after Bear Grylls himself and his team exerted heavy pressure on Disney to do so. And Bear Grylls, reportedly, isn't the only one. On May 2nd, our good friend and future ruler of the earth, Overlord DVD, published some new rumors. One we were able to lend support to after conferring with our sources is that Jon Favreau has been lobbying hard to get Gina back. As we said earlier, Favreau handpicked her to serve as one of the pillars of the pocket Star Wars universe he is building. And from what we have been told, her absence from it is not something he is ready to accept. We do not know if he was aligned with the Disney stakeholders that may or may not have been instrumental in the Forbes article calling out Chapek for firing Carano ever seeing the light of day though. But at face value, that does appear to be within the realm of reason. However, our sources were not able to confirm if an offer to return to Star Wars had been extended to Carano, or if it hadn't yet, if it would be in the near future. They did, however, point out that with the previously cancelled Bear Grylls episode reinstated, and Cara Dune toys back on the shelves in numerous locations, the door to an eventual return is in principle less shut than it once was. But in the case that Disney were to ask Gina Carano to return, would she? Gina Carano has been slandered by Lucasfilm and Disney, and without her network and fanbase, she would have been utterly destroyed. And that, we have heard, was what some of the more nefarious people at Lucasfilm indeed were hoping for. That didn't happen though, and courtesy of Ben Shapiro, Gina Carano has a production deal with the Daily Wire's film wing. We do not yet know how that will work out, but the potential upside is huge. As such, one might wonder why she would ever return. One of our sources pointed out that while he did not think Carano would return for Lucasfilm or Disney, they speculated that she might for Jon Favreau, at least in some capacity. But even if she did return for Favreau, wouldn't it be terribly awkward to work with the same people who clearly wanted her out again? It certainly might be, if they are there. Do take this with a grain of salt, but according to one of our sources, Kathleen Kennedy is unlikely to be renewed beyond her contract, which is set to expire this fall. And not only that, she has significant vacation time due between now and then. So if this source is to be believed, Kennedy's remaining reign may be shorter in practice than in theory, which would certainly help facilitate a possible Gina Carano return. Is that something you would like to see happen? If so, let us know in the comments. And before you go, remember to help bypass quarrelsome geo-blocking restrictions and to protect your data, you should get Surfshark VPN. Use our code MIDNIGHT to get 83% off plus 3 extra months for free. Link is in the description.